It is a beautiful summer day in Toronto. It's been an entire week of heat warning after heat warning after heat warning. Tips for first-time homebuyers. These are 4 things I want every first-time homebuyer to know about when they are finding a home. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Charlotte and I'm a realtor, and I also make tons of content over on Instagram if you want to check that out. But without further ado, I want to get started in this video right away. Moving right into the very first tip I have for every first-time homebuyer. Focus on what you cannot change rather than the things that you can change. I understand and I empathize with you that buying a house can be very emotional, and there are many things that can catch onto your emotions, such as staging and pretty furniture. But the thing is, the little point of staging is to make you fall in love with a home. And sometimes it hides imperfections about a home that you may otherwise take notice of if the home wasn't staged. So things like ceiling height, that's not really possible to change, especially in a condo. Layout, if it's a house, unless you gut the house and you have the funds to do that, then a layout is sometimes something you'll have to live with if you're buying a place. Things like appliance sizes, if they're already built in to the kitchen, unless you have a plan to tear down the kitchen. Things also like the location of the plumbing, in a condo. So don't get caught up about things like paint color or the color of a faucet. Really, really small things, those can be switched out, but focus on the things that you cannot change and make sure that those things are things that you can live with. My second tip for all first-time homebuyers is to be strategic when you're dealing with offers. So we're in a seller's market right now, and it is pretty common to see properties that are listed with offer dates. Essentially, it means that you are likely going to be bidding against other buyers for the same property. And when there's competition, it means that you'll have to put your best foot forward. A lot of buyers, understandably, don't really understand that sometimes the list price is not what the sellers are actually looking for. I always look at sold comparables. So the properties that have been sold recently or in the same vicinity, even in the same building, those are always taken into consideration when determining what's a fair offer price. And then on top of that, there are more considerations for buyers. Like if you do anticipate that this property will have tons of competition, tons of offers, you may want to offer more than what you had anticipated in order to win. It really depends on how set you are on winning. In terms of offer price, there really isn't a science, it's more of an art. As buyers, it's difficult, but you also have to be flexible and be willing to act on the fly. Again, as a realtor, I cannot tell you what to do, I can't force you to do anything, but you have to be strategic when it comes to offer dates. In today's seller market, a lot of buyers are willing to go in firm, meaning that they are willing to put in their offer with no conditions at all. And I wouldn't recommend any buyer to do that unless they really do have, for example, a mortgage condition, a financing condition. Unless you really do have a solid pre-approval, with your finances, you can comfortably afford the property at the price that you're offering, it's probably not a good idea to waive that condition. So if you're a buyer who has a pretty tight budget constraint, which is totally normal and understandable, then it might be worth considering offering on properties that don't have offer dates. The reality is no realtor is expecting their client to overpay or go out of their means to buy a property. But it is important to be strategic when you are looking for properties that you're looking for ones that don't have offer dates. The third tip I would give to all first-time home buyers is to really sort out your finances ahead of time. So when you offer on a property, you can expect to put about 5% down as a deposit. The deposit number is obviously up to you, but in general, and if you're putting in an offer with a deposit that is in good faith, meaning that you are being serious about purchasing a property, then typically a 5% deposit is what is typically offered upon acceptance. And if a seller accepts your offer, you have 24 hours to get this money. And if you don't have this money already sitting in your bank account and ready to be accessed, then you're going to be in trouble. In addition to deposits, you also have to be prepared for closing costs. And closing costs can be anywhere from 1.5 to 3 or 4% of the purchase price, depending if you're purchasing a house or a condo or freehold or pre-construction, assignment, anything like that. And then closing costs are things like land transfer tax, lawyer fees, adjustments. If you need a home inspection, that's going to cost a few $100. Moving fees. There's a bunch of closing costs to be prepared for, and if you don't have that cash on hand, that's going to be an issue come closing. And a lot of the times, a lender is going to want to know that you have those closing funds available in your bank account. So to be able to have that bit of leeway is something that every home buyer has to prepare for. Now, the fourth and last tip that I have for all first-time home buyers today is a really important one, so do listen up. The only certainty that you have is in the here and now. If anybody tries to tell you what they think the market is going to do, where it's going, they're lying, because nobody has control of the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen to the market. When I'm advising first-time home buyers, I let them know that not only is their property an investment for the future, it is also a place for them to live and have to be happy in. If they don't see themselves living in the home and they're not really satisfied and it doesn't check all the boxes, then it doesn't really matter, what the budget really is, because at the end of the day, this is your home and you have to really love it. And so there are buyers who come to me and say, what if I wait for the market to crash, or what if I wait until the winter? You really can. You definitely can. I can't tell you when the market is going to crash. I can't accurately predict whether it's, the market's going to cool down in the winter, even though it statistically does cool down a little bit because people are preparing for Christmas. It's the holidays, it's cold, it's probably snowing. So the market does tend to cool down a bit during Christmas. But the trade-off is the inventory is going to be worse. There's less people listing their homes for sale. You'll have less desirable properties to choose from. You might get a better deal, but it might not be the one that checks all the boxes for you. So what I say is you only have the here and now. Realize that there are things that you can control as a buyer and the things that you cannot. You can control your budget to an extent, you can control your offer, you can control your flexibility, and you can even control the area, the type of house that you're looking for. But there are things that are just really out of your control and out of my control, which is the direction that the market is heading, the prices of homes, the demand of buyers. All of these factors are out of our control. And so what I advise people is that if something comes up that really checks all of your boxes and you really love it, you can imagine and envision yourselves living in it, put an offer on it. Because the worst thing is having passed up a really great opportunity because you didn't feel like you were ready to be decisive, even though you financially are prepared, and then feeling lots of regret about your decision because you didn't act. So these are my 4 practical tips for all first-time home buyers. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comment section and I will get back to you. It's been great chatting with you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.